Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and welcome to the very first episode of Alphabet Escapades. This is my version of a TBR tackle, but I wanted something to be a little bit unique and kind of corresponding with what my plan is for this. So today is June 16th of 2025 and I have at this moment 218 books on my physical TBR that I have not read yet. And I want to try and work on getting that number down. Obviously that number is always going down because of the books I read every month, but I want to have something a little bit more fun. And that way I can kind of keep track of the books that I'm bringing in, the books that I'm reading, other than just like my generic list. So I have a new challenge that I've set for myself. So on my computer, I don't have Microsoft Word, so I'm using OneNote because it's free and I can use that. But I've set up, you probably might not be able to see it, but I have set up, this is all of the books on my physical TBR, and they are sorted out by the author's surname alphabetically. So what I'm gonna do is for each one of these videos, I have a spinner wheel on my phone that has all of the letters that are on here, not including letters like N or U that I don't have any authors with that last name that I have books that I haven't read by them. But I have a spinner wheel that has all of the letters on it, and we will spin the wheel and I will go to that corresponding list and choose a handful of books to read off of that particular author's surname. So for some of these authors I have 10 to 20 books, like for C, Michael Crichton, Peter Capstick, authors like that I have a ton of their books that I still need to read. Other ones I have, like for O, I have Abigail Owen, and then for Q, I have Kate Quinn. So I don't have as many on some of those, but some others I have quite a few. So it kind of depends on how I'm doing, whether I'll finish out that letter in a certain video or not. But I'm not going to challenge myself to read 20 books in a video or even 10 books in a video because that's a lot. So without further ado, all of that being said, we are starting right now. Today, we're starting out with 218 books on my TBR, and so now let's spin the wheel and find out what our first letter is going to be for the beginning of July or the end of June. Either way, this isn't going to go up till the beginning of July, but all right, so here we are. Turn the volume up a little bit and we will spin. Okay, so we got B. So for B, I have 16 authors with the last name starting with B. So I will put up a checklist of these, but I'm just going to go through them really quickly. I have Empire Shadows by Jacqueline Benson. I have Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Backman. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. The Surgeon's Daughter by Audrey Blake. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Welcome to the Hyunam Dong Bookshop by Wingbo Riam. Ministry of Time by Kaylee Bradley, The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, Tug Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt, Beartown by Frederick Bachman, and Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. So there are a couple that are like stand out, catching my eye off of that list, namely being Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, because I've always wanted to read that. Ministry of Time by Kaylee Bradley, one that I really want to get to this year. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and obviously Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt, because that's kind of a gimme. It's not even 200 pages. It's a children's book, just like Peter Pan is, but it's one that I read back when I was in elementary school, and so I own it, and I remember loving it when I was a kid, so I've always wanted to go back and reread it again after all this time and see if I still enjoy it. So those are kind of the ones that I'm leaning towards right now. I'm pretty much going to give myself a week or so to try and read what I can of any of these books, and I will check in with you periodically to let you know what I've been up to and what I've been reading. My power is currently out right now. I have no idea why. It has been for about an hour now. So it's a perfect opportunity, I guess, to read until we start to get sweated out from the 80-degree temperatures and no air conditioning, at least for the moment. Hopefully it'll come back on soon, but that's kind of what I'm thinking of for where I would like to start. But I don't have anything set in stone. I'm not going to set anything in stone, but that's the list that I am kind of going off of. So once I start reading some of these books, I will come back and I will check in with you, and we'll keep track of what books I have read that fit this, and kind of what my numbers are. Hopefully by the end of it, I will have a smaller number than 218 and not buy any more books in the process, but we'll see what happens. So I will get to reading, and I will check back in with you when I have started my first book. Hey, what's up? Good morning, guys. So I do have a couple of updates for you. I didn't say anything about starting this book because there's not really a whole lot to say, at least like while I'm reading it. So I just did some B-roll, but I did pick up Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. I thought this was a perfect start for this reading vlog. It's one I've wanted to reread since I got it. This was a middle grade that is a childhood favorite of mine. There is a Disney movie based off of this book with Alexis Bledel. And I always loved that movie when I was a kid. So when I found out it was a book, I read it and I loved it. And this is about a girl, Winnie Foster, and she meets the Tuck family. And the Tuck family has some definitely strange things about them, and attachment or things that have gone on in their lives. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about this one because I don't want to. It's so tiny. It's 130 pages, so I don't want to say a whole lot about this one, but I did pick up Tuck Everlasting. By the time I got done with it, it ended up petering out at a 3.5 stars. I rounded it up to a 4 on Goodreads because honestly, for this being not meant for my age group, and for being very surface level, and for having some kind of questionable morals in it, it is still a beautifully written book, and it was very nostalgic for me to go back and read this one again. I'd like to send this one down to my sister for her to read it. I don't know if she's ever read this, but she was the one who got me hooked on the Tuck Everlasting, the movie, so I think it'd be kind of fun to send it down to her for her to be able to read it if she wants to. And yeah, so like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. It is good. It was beautifully written, and definitely kind of funny to think that this was kind of like my start to my love of magical realism books, and so that's kind of fun to think about. But I really enjoyed this one, reading it again, and just kind of being back in this story after a lot of years. Like I said, I used to check this one out from the library like repeatedly when I was a kid, so I was really happy to go back to it. And like I said, I finished it, and it's not something that I would go back to a lot by any means, but I did have a good time reading it again after so many years, so I am glad that I read it. Then, after I finished Tuck Everlasting yesterday, I ended up deciding to pick up The Ministry of Time by Kaylee Ann Bradley. If you watched my brand new 25 for 2025 that went up yesterday, this is on there, and I'm very, very excited to read it and see if I love it as much as Sydney did. Sydney gave this 5 stars at the very beginning of this year, and she said that it might be in her top books of the year. I don't know if that is still a thing or not for her, but I made it through the first chapter in this last night, and I have already tabbed it so much. So this book is following a young woman, and I'm not even sure what her name is, to be completely honest with you, if it's even said it. But this is following a young woman, and she ends up getting hired on to become what is known as a bridge. And the thing is with that is that time travel actually exists, but they don't know if it's safe yet or not. So they have plucked out like 5 different people from different moments in history, who would have died, brought them to our time, and have the bridges in place to live with a certain person from whatever time and try and help them learn how to thrive in their new environment, displaced by hundreds of years. So our main character has Graham Gore. Yeah, Commander Graham Gore, who is living with her. And he is a man who died on an Arctic expedition in 1847. And he is a rough and tumble Navy sailor guy from the 1840s. So he comes into this world, and this book kicks right off. It's as soon as she gets the job and meets her, they call them expats. And he's a riot. He really is. He has so many things that he says in this book that it just cracks me up. And that's what all these tabs are from. She's having to explain like what germs are, and he pretty much just tells her, I won't be participating. And she's like, you don't have a choice. And he's like, well, then I will write a strongly worded letter of complaint. And he's just very sarcastic, and it's so funny. And then it, like, she knows a lot about like his past, obviously, because like history and things that they know about him. And so he's like, did you read the letters that mentioned my mania for arson and my lurid history of backstreet goose wrestling? And she just stares at him, and he's like, I'm kidding. It's weird that you know so much about me. So I had such a great time with the first chapter of this book. I am continuing on with it today. I haven't made it very far. I'm only 46 pages into this, or 47, and I'm already having such a great time. Like I said, I've already tabbed the crap out of it, and it's really interesting because you get like your intro chapter that is about him in his original time in the 1840s, and then it goes into the regular chapter of now that he is in this time living with this woman. And like I said, I cannot remember her name, or if it's even, I feel like it said it, but either way. So I'm just having a really good time with this already, and I'm so excited to continue with it. And so yeah, that's my update for this morning. We're off to a pretty good start, I would say. We've already finished one book, and I've started one that I think has a lot of potential, and I'm already having a great time with it. So I'm going to keep reading this, and I will come back when I have something more to say, and actually am more than just 2 chapters into this book. So I will talk to you guys later on. Hey guys, so it is now Monday. It is June 23rd. It's a little after 1, and I didn't read a lot this weekend. I spent a lot of time with my family, and we were doing different things and just kind of hanging out, so I didn't do a lot of reading over the weekend, but I was averaging about 1 chapter a night. And the book that I'm currently reading is The Ministry of Time. So 1 chapter a night is actually really saying something, because that's still like a 40-page chapter. But I am officially a little over halfway through. I am on chapter 6, or the beginning of it, chapter 6. I'm using my tabs as a bookmark because I have been tabbing the crap out of this book. There are so many things I'm enjoying. This book is so interesting. So there are a lot of technical things in this book, and some of it gets a little bit above my head, I think, but I'm really, really enjoying it still. And I'm loving Graham's character. He is just kind of a dry, humored, sarcastic guy. And I said this in my last clip because I was telling you about how she had to explain what germs were to him. And it's just different things that have come up in this book that have just kind of made me smile or made me laugh. He gets, I just read, he ends up getting sick, and he doesn't want anybody to take care of him, but he doesn't want anybody to tell the ministry, which are the people that brought him to the future, but it talks about his body, or him being dropped bodily into a tub of water. And then it says upstairs, the bridge, this main character who we're reading from her perspective says that I heard a petulant, "I can wash my own hair, thank you." And it just made me laugh. So I'm really enjoying his character a lot. I still have not caught a name for our bridge. It's from her perspective we're reading this from. So she's talking about her experience with her being kind of like a secret agent in this ministry that nobody knows. Like, her family doesn't know what she's actually doing for the ministry and what's actually going on with her work. They think that she's some kind of a spy. And so, like, her family doesn't know, and nobody really knows what she's doing, but she's living in a government house and helping Graham acclimate to living in a modern day times, and whether or not he could do that. Now, things have come up that have caused like like security and stuff to not be able to pick up these expats, the people from the past. And there's issues that have come up, and there's possibly some corruption within the ministry, which is coming up more and more as the book goes on, and it's been really interesting. I'm really excited to see where this leads. I feel like it's going to be just a heartbreaking conclusion in this book, but I'm really enjoying it. I love the friendship that her and him have made over the course of this book so far. That is kind of one of those things that they start out having to depend on each other because it's her job and it's his connection to what's happening around him, and it's kind of grown into a really great friendship between them. They just celebrated Christmas, and he was texting her, and he says, "I will telephone you on Christmas Day to ensure you are in one piece. This missive took me half an hour to write. Believe me to be your affectionate friend, Gigi." So it's starting to get more friendly and more personal between them, and I'm really enjoying that as well. I love seeing how all these characters are changing and growing as they are getting accommodated to living in our time and having, you know, one of the expats that she's from the 1600s is saying that she signed up for Tinder, but not to tell the other guys because they'll make fun of her and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting, and it's kind of an interesting outlook. I don't know. So there's a lot of little things in this book that I'm really enjoying. I'm really liking her writing style. Like I said, some of it kind of feels like it's going over my head a little bit when it gets a little bit more on the technical side. But that tends to happen a lot with sci-fi, I feel like, for me, especially when it's things like this with a lot of jargon and like the time travel and you know, different concepts in this book. I feel like it happens a lot in this kind of book. The same thing happened when I was reading Blake Crouch, that some of it felt like it went over my head, but then other things, like I was able to kind of come back to it and understand what was going on. So I'm going to continue reading this. Like I said, I'm a little over halfway. This book only has about 10 chapters in it, so they're very long chapters, between like 20 to 50 pages a piece. So I'm doing quite a bit of reading, but I'm really enjoying this. I don't know if it'll be 5-star. I don't know if it'll be 4-star. I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't had a chance to really like sit down and binge read it because, like I said, over the weekend I was reading like a chapter before bed at night, but I am really liking it a lot, and I'm excited to continue. And so yeah, that is my update for the second book I'm reading for this vlog. So I don't know if I'll get to very many in this first round. I'm hoping to get to at least 3 by the end of this week before I want to be able to have this ready to post for next week. I really like to read at least one more book, but like I said, I am really enjoying this one a lot, and I'm excited to continue and see where it goes and what happens. guys, so it's been a minute since I updated you, but it is now Tuesday or Wednesday, sorry. It's now Wednesday, and last night I stayed up way too late and I ended up finishing The Ministry of Time. And check out these tabs. I don't think I have ever tabbed a book so much as I have with this one, but I really enjoyed this. I loved the subtleties in the way she explored things that are sensitive, to say the least. And I thought this was so interesting. I loved Graham Gore's character, and I had such a good time with this. So overall, I think I'm ending up giving this a 4-star. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like that top tier, absolutely fantastic, best thing I've read all year, but I did have a really great time. So I don't even know how to talk about this one any more than what I already have because I don't want to give any spoilers, but it was so interesting the way that she plays with time and the way that things kind of play out. And you know, I've seen with this book that the romance isn't necessary, but I enjoyed that aspect of it, and I thought it was like a fun little add-in thing. It didn't have to be there, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was interesting to see how they explored the romance in this book, and like I said, I just had a really good time with this, and I'm definitely curious to see what Kaylee Ann Bradley is going to come out with next. I like the books that play with time travel. I've learned that I tend to really enjoy them and have a good time with them. So I'm giving this 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. And I took a clip of it this morning, and I probably will insert it right here. But I was trying to decide what to pick up next. So I was debating on if I wanted to pick up Peter Pan. I was debating on if I wanted to pick up a Frederick Backman book, or if I wanted to pick up a fantasy book, because there was quite a few of them on this list that I could read with a surname starting with B. And so what I ended up doing was I pulled up a random number generator on my phone. I had my computer open in front of me, and I just let the random number generator choose, and it chose, I believe it was number 6, which just so happened to be Peter Pan on my list. So we're getting through another one of my 25 for 2025 books. It is one that I'm highly anticipating, and I've already started this. I am about a third of the way through it. I am on chapter 6, page 54, and what can I say about Peter Pan? This is such a beloved story. It really, really is. Peter Pan is not really a very nice kid, though. He certainly has some big flaws with his character, and he's very selfish. And, you know, I did know that going into this book, that it was going to be that way. The writing is fine. It's not anything that's too complicated to understand, but it's definitely very wordy. I'm not one who normally reads classics at all. You don't see me read classics on this channel. You don't see me leaning towards picking up classics. I just don't. So for me reading this one, it's definitely a step out of my comfort zone. However, I do like it. It's not going to be a 5-star book. I can say that right now. It's not going to be a 5-star book, but I am enjoying it. And it is obviously a quick read, seeing as this is a children's classic, and I am enjoying it still. So like I said, it's not going to be 5 stars, but I am enjoying it. I'm really, really glad to finally be reading this and seeing what the original story was. You know, I've loved the movie Peter Pan ever since I was a kid. It was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, the animated Disney version. I really, really liked the movie Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp, and Hook with Robin Williams, like all of the movies that they have made surrounding this story. And so for me, it's just really fun. It's almost nostalgic just because of the fact that I know this story from watching all the different versions of it all throughout my life, but I have never actually picked up this original book and read it. So I am very happy to be reading this one. Like I said, I'm over 50 pages into this already, and I'm having a good time. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next with the book, how closely or how far-fetched it's going to get compared to all of the movies that I've watched. And so yeah, this is what I'm reading today. I am currently in the middle of filming my TBR for July, but I am reading as well. So I'm going to get back to reading, get back to picking out my TBR. You will obviously see that before you see this, but I'm really excited. So I have fun things planned and thoughts going and all the things as usual. Let's see how well I work it all out. But yeah, so I'm gonna get back to reading and back to filming and all that stuff, but I will keep you updated on my thoughts. I probably won't actually give you another update until I am done and have my final thoughts for this, since it is only 150 pages total. So I probably won't update you until I finished it and give you my final rating, but that's what I'm reading today. I'm probably gonna be able to knock this out today pretty easily, hopefully, depending on how everything goes. It's still pretty early this morning, but then hopefully we will be able to choose another book and be able to get more than 3 in this video. Maybe, we'll see. But I will check back in with you guys later on. Hey, what's up? Good morning, guys. So it is now the 26th. It is Thursday, and I'm kind of calling this the end of my week for trying this video out. So I have finished 3 books for this video, both of which, or 2 of the 3, were pretty short, but they were ones that I was really wanting to get to, and I think this is kind of a good little like tester to see how this is gonna go. And I had such a good time with this. This is so much fun. So I am very happy with how everything went. So I started this week reading, or this video, reading Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is one that I read when I was a kid, and I haven't read it since I was a kid. So it was really nostalgic for me to go back to, and I give it 3.5 stars. I had a really good time. I'm definitely not the target audience for this book, but I had a good time reading it, and I do intend to send this one to my sister. My mom's gonna go down there later on in July, and I think I'm gonna pack a box and send this one down to her because I think she'll have a good time reading it as well. This one is following a 10-year-old Winnie who is just wanting to experience something different from her house and her yard and school. And so she decides to sneak out, go for a walk in the forest, and she meets the Tuck family, and things happen. I've obviously already talked about this, so you know obviously what's happened and what my thoughts were as I went, but I'm really glad that I read this one. After that, I picked up Ministry of Time by Kaylee Ann Bradley. This is on my new and improved 25 for 2025. And this is one that I was really, really looking forward to, thanks to Sydney. And I was not disappointed. This is a book about time travel. And apparently I am a sucker for books about time travel because it seems like everything I read that involves time travel, I have a really good time with. I also tabbed The Living Daylights out of this book. I don't think I have ever tabbed a book so much when I was reading it, and I just had a really good time. I thought that the ending was not disappointing. It did wrap up nicely, and I don't know, I really enjoyed this book. It's really hard to explain. I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm not going to say too much because I do want to keep this spoiler free. But I had a really good time with this. I was a little sad at the end of it, and it was understandable though. Like everything that happened, the way that it played out, I really liked how she wrapped things up. And I had a great time with this. So I gave this 4 stars, and I'm excited to see what this author comes out with next because this was definitely a great debut book. And finally, here we are. I read Peter Pan. I finished it first thing this morning. I only had like 30 pages left that I needed to read, so I did knock this one out this morning. And guys, I am so disappointed. I am so bummed out. I read this book because I have loved all of the movies that have come from it. Peter Pan, the original animated one, Hook, Finding Neverland, like all of those. I've really loved those movies. I've always loved those movies, and I wanted to read the original classic, and I didn't like it, guys. I'm so sad. I finished it because it's only 150 pages and it is a children's classic, and I'm not normally one who reads classics. I read Little Women a long time ago and I absolutely loved it, but any other classic that I've read just hasn't really, I don't know, it just hasn't really done it for me, and this was no exception. I was really disappointed in this. It was definitely very old school writing for the fact that it was very wordy, and honestly, I hated the characters. I hated every single one of them. I didn't like anybody. And I don't know, I'm super disappointed with it. I didn't like it. So I ended up giving this with my call pile a 2-star rating, which I feel like that's not really fair because this isn't really my genre. It's not my genre, and I'm obviously not the age group that's meant to be reading this, but that's where I'm at, and I'm really bummed out. I'm really disappointed with this. So like I said, 2 stars, and as much as I really, really want to keep this beautiful copy of Peter Pan and try and read it again someday, I just don't know if I will. With having that kind of a rating, I don't know if I'd ever want to go back to it, which is really unfortunate. So this might be another one that ends up going to my sister. She tends to like the classics a lot more than I do, so she might enjoy it way more. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not sure what to do with this one right now, but I am really bummed out. So like I said, these are the 3 books that I read this week. Both of the 2 were like children's, middle grade, whatever. Very, very short, very quick to get through. But I did read Ministry of Time in there. So both of these ones were on my new and improved 25 for 2025. So that's 2 already knocked off of that list after I just posted that video last week, which is fantastic. Great start. So I'm really hoping to keep up the momentum. I believe I started this video with 218 books on my physical TBR. I'm brought it down to 215. However, I have approximately 8 books that are on their way in the mail to me right now. So I am going to wrap this one up, and I'm actually wanting to immediately jump in and start my next one and give myself the full month basically to read as many books as I possibly can by that author or those authors, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I really hope that you guys did. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm really excited for what's going to happen with this, what kind of books I'm going to read, and kind of changing things up a little bit for myself. So I'm really excited for this new alphabet extravaganza. For these new alphabet escapades, and I hope you guys are too. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.